To do this at a bigger level, fate has decided Ryan Preece is going to win at Iowa. Benjamin gave it a shot coming to the line.
Ryan Preece just made an admission that has the entire NASCAR world talking. What he revealed about his early Cup Series career will change how you see this driver forever. For 4 straight years, from 2013 to 2016, Preece raced on used tires. Not by choice, because that's all his teams could afford. I don't think half of this field has ever had to stick used tires on a race car because that's what the owner had to do to get by, Preece said in a recent interview. That was the first 4 years of my national level career. 13, 14, 15, and 16. Using used tires. Think about that for a moment. While other drivers were getting fresh rubber every race, Preece was fighting for position on tires that had already done their job for someone else. This wasn't racing. This was survival. But here's what makes this story even more shocking. Preece isn't some backmarker telling sob stories. He's currently sitting 13th in the Cup Series standings with 10 top 10 finishes through 23 races. That's double his previous career high for an entire season. So what changed? How did a driver who spent years scraping by on used equipment suddenly become a legitimate playoff contender? Before we dive into the shocking transformation, let's understand what Preece built his career on. This wasn't some silver spoon story. Preece dominated Connecticut modified circuits for years. He captured the 2013 NASCAR Wheelin' Modified Tour Championship. Multiple World Series of asphalt crowns followed. The man knew how to drive. The question was whether he'd ever get the equipment to prove it on NASCAR's biggest stage. His Xfinity and Truck Series runs showed flashes of brilliance. 2 Xfinity wins, 2 Truck Series victories by 2022. Industry insiders whispered that Preece could be a contender with the right opportunity. But opportunities in Cup Series racing don't come easy, especially when you're not backed by family money or major sponsorship deals. Preece's Cup Series debut came in 2015. A full-time ride didn't materialize until 2019 with JTG Daugherty Racing. Nearly 200 Cup starts followed, 0 wins, no playoff appearances through 2024. Those numbers tell one story. Preece's recent admission tells another. Our sport is really naive to some things, Preece told Racer magazine. One of those things is if you're not in the equipment or the situation that is right. During those early years, Preece wasn't just fighting other drivers. He was fighting his own equipment. Underfunded teams, inconsistent rides, recycled parts, used tires that had already given their best performance to someone else's car. The flip side of that, there is a lot of confidence you lose as a race car driver, Preece explained. That's why I would go race a modified or whatever. Picture this scenario. You're trying to prove yourself in NASCAR's Premier Series. Every lap matters, every position counts, but you're doing it with equipment that's already been pushed to its limits. How do you maintain confidence when your car can't compete? How do you show your talent when your tools are holding you back? Preece found his answer on short tracks. Modified racing became his confidence builder, his reminder that he could still drive, his proof that the problem wasn't behind the wheel. Late 2024 brought the phone call that would change everything. RFK Racing wanted Preece for their newly created number, Altmish Ford Mustang Programma. Brad Keselowski, the team co-owner and former Cup champion, saw something others had missed. Or maybe Keselowski saw what everyone else had seen but couldn't access due to equipment limitations. Preece said, "It's been nice to be with Brad Keselowski because I finally feel like I'm racing again with certain things." Racing again, not surviving. Racing. The difference became immediately apparent. RFK Racing brought Kroger sponsorship, organizational support, consistent car preparation, sports science backing, clear team structure. For the first time in his Cup career, Preece had everything he needed to show what he could actually do. The results speak louder than any press release. Preece's 2025 season statistics read like a completely different driver's resume. 10 top 10 finishes through 23 races. His previous single-season high was 5. 3 top 5 finishes, also a career high. 4th place at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 5th at Iowa Speedway. An average finish near 16th place. Preece ranks 3rd in the Cup Series for laps completed this season at 99.3%. He ranks 5th for most top 10 finishes earned. These aren't fluky numbers. This is consistent performance from proper equipment. "I've been all over the map," Preece said. "When I say all over the map, I've done a lot of the roles of what it takes to be fast or win races. I have a strong understanding of what it takes to win races, not just at the Cup level or the Xfinity or truck level. But hell, if you're racing a freaking late model or super late model of modified..." The broad experience finally had a platform to shine. But Preece's most shocking revelation wasn't about used tires or underfunded teams. It came after the Iowa Speedway race, where he finished 5th behind his boss-turned-teammate Brad Keselowski's third-place run. Preece said this about racing Keselowski in the closing laps.
Part of the owner group, I didn't necessarily let him go. I just didn't fight him as hard as I could have.
Think about the implications of that statement. A professional race car driver admitting he didn't give his maximum effort against a competitor because that competitor signs his paychecks.
Considering he's not only my teammate, he's also part of the owner group. I didn't necessarily let him go. I just didn't fight him as hard as I could have. And at that point in time, they had won 2 stages. They had a really fast car, and I didn't want to be the reason that in our Monday morning meeting, if I held him up for 15 laps. And then
the honesty is refreshing and shocking. How many drivers would admit to pulling their punches against the team owner? Preece's reasoning shows the delicate balance between competition and employment, between racing instincts and business relationships, between individual success and team harmony. The stakes for these internal team dynamics couldn't be higher. With 3 races remaining in the regular season, the playoff picture involves complex calculations. Only Buescher and Preece are currently playoff eligible without a win. But playoff math gets tricky when wins enter the equation.
Have you two talked about it? You're both racers. You're an aggressive racer. You've had a great year, and you're right on the cusp of it. So have you said, hey, listen, when it gets to that, this is what it's going to be, or race me like you want to be raced, or, busted chops about it or anything?
No, to be honest with you, Chris and I race really well together. So I think we have enough respect for each other on the racetrack to do it the right way. And we're going to race hard. I think, between...
His track record at these venues tells an interesting story. 0 wins at Watkins Glen, 2 career victories at Richmond, 1 triumph at Daytona. Despite the pressure in team politics, Preece maintains a clear racing philosophy. He recently addressed how he'll handle racing against teammate Chris Buescher, who currently holds the final playoff spot. Preece told this to Claire B. Lang, but Preece draws lines around his competitive integrity. The approach reflects someone who's fought for every opportunity, someone who understands the value of respect in a sport where careers can end with one bad decision. Success hasn't separated Preece from his origins. He's serving as honorary starter for the night before the Glen Rod Spalding Classic at Chemung Speedrome. The event features a 75-lap modified series feature race with a $5,000 winner's purse. Preece will sign autographs and wave the green flag. His presence bridges NASCAR's national stage with grassroots racing. It reinforces his connection to the modified racing community that sustained him through difficult Cup Series years. The event honors Rod Spalding, a respected figure in modified racing. Spalding's legacy continues through a foundation supporting injured drivers. Preece's involvement brings attention to community goodwill efforts while giving fans rare access to a Cup Series driver.